Bitch, I know you're tired. For those of you that are like, oh, my husband does this video ain't for you. This is a safe space for women who don't receive that. Find another YouTube channel to brag about your husband, because this ain't the one. Hello, welcome. My name is Shani Tran, and I'm a licensed professional clinical counselor in Minnesota. And I am bringing you today the 5 things that changed how I thought about motherhood. The year is 2024, and I have been invited by the Obama Foundation to speak at the Democratic Convention. My mom flew in, my cousin, aka my mom's best friend from high school. If you Black, you know, right? We're sitting down eating breakfast, and I started talking about being a mother. And I immediately started it off with, me and my husband didn't actually have the conversation if we wanted to have kids. My cousin looks at me and she goes, "Be careful what you put into the universe." And that stuck with me. Because I can sit here all day and talk about how exhausted I am as a mother. And I'm not saying that that's not valid. But at some point, I have to take accountability and also figure out, what do I want to do with this emotion? What do I want to do with the way that I am feeling? And that's when change was sparked. So over the next few years, I really started to intentionally think about how I wanted to show up as a mother, how I was showing up, and if I wanted to show up that way, if I wanted to change it, and really just like trial and error. I think number 1 is what's really going to sit with y'all that are married to men. Number 1, stop enabling my husband. The problem was I was taking care of my husband, and not in a cute, he needs me kind of way, but in a, this is exhausting and I'm drowning kind of way. What was I doing? Making all the appointments for the kids, taking the kids to the appointment, adjusting my work schedule so that I can make the appointments with the kids, bathing the kids at night, making their lunches, making sure they had money on their lunch account, giving him the evening rundown. When I leave the house, I'd be like, hey, okay, this child had a bath, this child still needs to do her homework, this child, I fed the dog, putting the dog out, so many different things. On top of that, planning vacations, where are we going? How much money are we going to spend? What was the shift for me? One day, I literally stood in my kitchen and I said, fuck it. And I left. Not the type of left that you're thinking. The kitchen, I had just finished cooking dinner. And it was one of those busier days, so I didn't have time to give the young one a bath. She still needed to do her homework. However, we had run errands that day. I had gone to an appointment, and I just didn't have time. But I had plans to meet with a friend. And I said to myself, as I stood there in that kitchen, I said, you know what? He can figure it out, because I don't ask him for the rundown. He doesn't give me the rundown when he leaves the house. What is happening here? And so I literally was like, hey, I'm going out to meet a friend, and left. I'm going to allow him to hem and haw. I am no longer going to make him feel comfortable when I'm exhausted. Tell y'all, my anxiety was so high. I got in the car and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? And I told myself, Shani, if you want to break this habit, you have to sit in the discomfort of what you've been doing. He figured it out. Here's what I learned. Partnership means that both people carry the weight and not one person delegating all the tasks. And I've recognized that the lie that I've been sold, that partnerships are 50-50, is a lie, because honestly, I was showing up 80% and allowing him, keyword allowing him, to show up 20%, because it felt easier to do and delegate than to allow him to figure it out, because I've never been a mom either, and I had to figure it out at the same time that he did. Number 2. Boundaries around my alone time. The reality is I felt guilty for wanting alone time for me. However, I was being with my children from a place of an empty cup. And am I really showing up for them in the way that I want to because I have a lack of boundaries? Wait, what? What am I teaching my girls? The shift. I started practicing alone time. I recently got an exercise machine in my room, so it's super easy for me to go upstairs and just work out. And I close the door, put on music. Sometimes I put on my headphones, and I have let my girls know, you don't have to go to bed, but you go in your room at 8 p.m. And from 8 p.m. to whatever time it is, that is mommy's alone time. And that is important to me. I have slow mornings. He does take the girls to school in the morning, and it probably takes me about a good 2 to 3 hours to ease into my day. The other thing that I recognize is my kids actually benefit from this because I want to teach my children how to be okay with other people setting boundaries, and that is not rejection in a sense of like me saying, hey, I need alone time. You might hear, I don't want to play with you. However, I play with you. It's just also I need alone time. Like it doesn't have to be a but or it is an and. I can play with you and I can have alone time. The other thing that I want to model to them is that when I say no, that is no. And that is not an invitation to change my mind. I've really been trying to explain that to my girls because I feel like sometimes they'll be like, hey, mommy, can we go to the toy store? Which to them is Five Below. And I'm like, no, 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 no. And my 7-year-old and sometimes my 11-year-old, they keep asking, and I will sit there for a minute and say, hey, when I say no. That is not an invitation to try to change my mind because I want them to know both sides of that, right? Like when you say no to someone, knowing like, hey, like I'm standing my ground, don't try to change my mind. And I said no is no. That's what I'm modeling and teaching for them. But also knowing like you can receive no. The truth is, my children don't need a martyr. They need a healthy mom. Number 3, befriending my daughter by healing my younger child. Hear me out on this one because I feel like this one is so unique. Recently in 2025, I started IFS, and in that process, I learned a lot about one of my exiles who is a younger child. And I realized that when my 7-year-old has tantrums, it's actually not about her. It is about me and what is being activated in me because a part of me is like, I did not get to do that. And the way that I am healing that is when my 7-year-old has a tantrum and I feel that activation, I then go inside and I ask my younger self, do you want to play with her? That's how I am healing through the tantrums, is allowing my younger child to play with my daughter and be there for her in a way that a 7-year-old can receive it. And here's the thing. My mom used to say, I'm not one of your little friends. In my 7-year-old's world, I am her friend. I am her only friend. Growing up Black specifically, I can't speak for any other culture or race. But growing up hearing my mom say, I'm not your little friend, and then building a relationship that is a friendship with my mom as an adult, it's like my whole life up until I was like 18, 20, you told me you're not one of my little friends, but now you want to be my friend? There are boundaries in any dynamic, in any friendship, and I can be my children's friend and their mother. Why does this work? Because 1, it allows me to give myself emotional distance as an adult by allowing my kid self to come forward and play with my daughter during the tantrum. And also that allows me to really just sit with what is coming up. Sometimes parenting is just reparenting your younger self. And that little girl inside me knows what my younger daughter needs. And there's something beautiful in that. Number 4, being okay with not getting it right. I am not my mom. I am not my mom. I am not my mom. I have to say that over and over and over, and I want you to say that too. I am not my mom. I am not my mom. I am not my mom. The thing is the pressure of like, I've been working so hard and trying to do it right, trying to do it better, trying to, not allow myself to settle in. I'm doing the best that I can with what I have. And I forgot to allow myself space to fuck up. This is my first time being a parent. And every time my children hit a milestone, it's a first time that I'm going through that milestone with them. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm trying to be present and show them how does repair happen. We need to get more comfortable with allowing our children to see us as human beings. Because when you grew up, you was like, shit, this adult thing, rigged. What the fuck? Why was I so eager to be 18 and get out of my goddamn house? Number 5, saying no to my kids. Okay, so here's the thing. I really struggle with saying no to my kids because I know that when I say no, it's a younger part of me that was told no a lot. But here's what I've learned is I'm actually hurting my kids and being afraid to tell them no because I'm actually over promising. I say yes when I actually mean no. Or I say maybe when I actually mean no. And I end up stretching myself thin and not delivering. And then getting to the end of the day and my kids being like, I thought you said that we were going to go to Five Below and go to the movies and then get boba. And I'm like, Yeah, so about that is I have failed more in over promising than saying no. Also learned to let my kids be disappointed. Like, life is going to fucking disappoint you. And if I can teach you how to accept that disappointment in a safe space like my home, that part, take for instance, if my daughter is like at the park and we've been there for a minute because, you know, she got energy. She'd be like, Mommy, I want to keep playing. I want to keep playing. And I would say, no, it's time to go. And I understand that that can be disappointing. And also too, Mommy is tired right now and Mommy would like to go home and rest. And being okay with her feeling disappointed. But I also want her to know I'm human and I ain't got unlimited energy. And I did play with you. I try to make sure that I say and with my children instead of like but or. Teaching our kids that we have limits allows them to have limits too. I'm teaching my kids that love doesn't mean endless access, that you can love and show up authentically. And sometimes showing up authentically might mean that you disappoint others. 3 years ago, I showed up in that cafe and I was exhausted and tired and speaking in ways that I never want to talk about being a mother because I do love my children. And in the last couple of years working on these things, I've learned, yes, I'm still exhausted and yes, I still don't get things right. However, I am showing up more authentically as the mother that I want to be and how I'm modeling life for my children. It's not that I'm a better mom. I'm just a more authentic one. And I guess this is healing. I want to thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.